The age-old question, does age and experience really overcome youth and vigor? I never believed that it did, back when I was young and vigorous. But the older I get, the more it seems to make sense. Or maybe I'm just whistling past the graveyard, because of course, to really evaluate it, you've got to survive your youth and vigor to acquire any age or experience. All I know is this is a true story. One time when I was a teenager, I went duck hunting with some friends of mine. The ducks were on private property, on a ranch where they wouldn't let us hunt. So we decided to get a raft and float down onto their property to hunt commando style. We loaded up these two old trucks, left one downriver below the ranch, and drove the other upriver above it, and got on our inflatable raft with our shotguns and beer, and started floating down. It was all going fine until we came to where the ranchers had strung barbed wire across the river, I guess to prevent people from trying what we were trying. Fortunately, we had wire cutters. We cut their fence and kept on floating. We didn't have a care in the world until those buckaroos came riding out of the willows on the bank, shooting at us. Now, friends, those of you that didn't grow up around ranches, particularly around ranches in northern Nevada, you may not know that it's fairly common practice for buckaroos and ranch hands to carry shotguns loaded with rock salt shells. They use them to get the attention of cattle that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing or aren't where they're supposed to be. The rock salt doesn't penetrate cowhide, but it stings enough that even those stupid beasts have to pay attention. So these cowboys come riding out of the bushes, blasting away at us with rock salt. They're far enough away that it didn't penetrate our hides, speaking of stupid beasts, but it was hitting plenty hard enough to get our attention. In fact, the attack was so noisy and painful and sudden that none of us remembered we ourselves were armed with something a lot more dangerous than rock salt, and we never returned fire. We just yelled and screamed and begged for them to stop and paddled like hell, and they just kept shooting at us, reloading and laughing. We finally got away from them around the bend and cut another fence to get across the river to make our escape. Remember what I said about rock salt not penetrating cowhide or even teenager hide? Well, turns out it does penetrate inflatable raft hide. So we sunk about 500 yards away from our getaway truck. We made it out alive, though, soaking wet, covered in welts, and wiser for the experience. That's what it gets down to, doesn't it? We built some character that day, if you want to call it that, and we had the youth and vigor to come up with that brilliant idea and execute it, but not the wisdom and experience to anticipate the outcome. Now, I think of this story every time I hear about somebody who's got all the answers, or some new hotshot artist or politician or preacher or pundit. I think about how I used to be one of those guys once. Now, I'm not. I'm just a guy that's not standing in anybody's way. Like my buddy says, you can do anything you want once. I say, yep. But just watch out for that rock salt.